You know, the thing is with these ex-players, from a football perspective or another sport perspective, or ex-athletes, you know, a lot of them grow on to become big influencers and content creators, you know, and they're growing social media numbers, exponential social media numbers. You know, and he's managed to forge himself best part of 20 million social media followers across various different platforms, and brands buy into that.
For us, it's an exceptional opportunity with a blank sheet of paper, which is very rare in sport, because most of the organisations we work with are already well established, where this is like, what do you think? How do you think we should do it? Okay. And Ian and I love that.
It's another episode of the Deal Room Sport with Sporting Group International and Sporting Jobs. We've got Adrian Wright here, we've got Ian Dutton as well. Gentlemen, it's been quite a busy start to the year. I mean, where do we even start? You've done quite a few deals, haven't you? Should we start with cricket rights?
Yeah, we'll just start with cricket, South Africa. Ian and the team have managed to secure front of shirt for Pretoria Capitals, which is a recurring sponsorship deal for a brand that we brought to a strongman event called the company's called Duelbits. The India team, as you would imagine, are cricket mad. Danesh and Pranay literally were really knocking our door to say, look, guys, you really need to start having a look at other cricket opportunities around the world. And they actually they worked so hard on that market. I think they contacted 600 South African and international brands trying to get a breakthrough. And it was like, you know, I saw some of the meeting notes, I saw some of the calls they had, and it was just like complete opportunities that someone turned around and said, Ian, any chance you can speak to Duelbits? And it was like, rest is history, I'll tell you all about it.
Yeah, give us the lowdown on how this all came about then.
Yeah, so obviously we've already had a previous relationship with Duelbits. We've done business with them. We've obviously done deals previously with Camelot Films, with Battle of the Beasts, Eddie Hall endorsement deal, which we've already mentioned. And India was a new emerging market for Duelbits. And the reason why we know that is because actually we're doing quite a lot for them on the whole surrogate website space for them. So we were challenged and tasked to basically go out there and build them and help them maintain a surrogate website, which is fundamentally Duelbits branded, but it's got nothing to do with betting on there. It's purely and simply a news platform, a global sports news platform that's relevant for the India market. And it's just another avenue of getting the brand in India, because there's lots of legislation around betting there. So we already had an idea that India was a big one for them. And when the South Africa T20 opportunity came about, just obviously started talking to them, giving them some of the numbers, the viewership that it was going to bring them in that part of the world, in India and also in South Africa as well, and in the UK, because it was all over the UK broadcasters, weren't it, on Sky. Yeah, and the rest is history. We managed to broker a really good deal, front of shirt partnership with, you know, with Pretoria, who are owned and operated by JSW. So yeah, that's how it came about, and it's been a really successful partnership.
Does it help that they've got sort of an Indian cricketing legend in Ganguly? Is that a big part of that deal, that sort of link up?
Well, it's interesting because the IPL franchise owners are literally now just capitalising on all overseas cricket leagues. So Caribbean, South Africa, obviously 100 in the UK. They're doing the Major League Cricket in America. So the blueprint of the IPL is just now being rolled out globally, which is great for us, because that means that when we've built relationships with the franchise owners of the IPL, they will say, guys, have you got any opportunity, any brands you can help us out with in America? Got any brands you can help us out with in South Africa or in Caribbean? And obviously we're making now quite a big play for stuff in the 100 in the UK. So we've already, we have a live retained agreement with a cricket club that won't be playing in the 100, but are automatically kind of taking us into that cricket space in the UK, because we're getting to understand a bit around how their kind of sales cycles work. We have done lots of cricket work previously with sponsors, but working specifically on a tournament and in the timeframes they've got to deliver sponsorships, you know, that's something that we have and are getting regular conversations around. Can you help us? Can you get us a brand? But yeah, the Indian, a bit like the Americans in the Premier League, really. They are literally sweeping up all the global assets cricket.
And I think the beauty, and Adrian's already mentioned Danesh and Pranay, who run our sponsorship division in India. And Pranay's been involved in the business now for pretty much since its infancy, to be honest. Great guy, great. Both of them so passionate, unbelievable at their jobs. But the one thing that they've got that we could never do from here is have the relationships with the clubs.
Yeah.
You know, it's very similar to how we've got relationships with Premier League, Championship clubs here in the UK. They've got exactly the same with all of the clubs, all of the IPL clubs, all of the different franchises, because they're all interconnected in some way, shape or form. And it just makes life so much easier. We wouldn't be able to do that because there's a trust already built, there's a relationship already built, there's an understanding, a clear understanding of the cricket landscape out there, the legislations, the laws, the regulations, all that kind of stuff. And we use that. So we work so well together. And we've already mentioned about that sort of cross-collaboration between territories. We from the UK would find it so much harder to penetrate those teams from here. But the fact that we've got our team members who are, you know, part of the team, day in, day out, that are liaising with us day in, day out about those opportunities, just makes life so much easier and so much streamlined, and we're delivering deals together fundamentally.
Almost a great season for Pretoria Capitals as well. They didn't
Very
quite,
close, didn't they?
Did they get to the
Very
final?
close. They started off terribly.
Yeah,
I remember we were watching it like we were thinking, you know, because we'd actually got a little reward for them progressing through to the final, which we were pleased to get. But when they first kicked off, we were like, oh my God, this is going to be long. Wasn't a long period to watch, but I remember watching I think it was a New Year's Day game or New Year's Eve game. It was like, this one guy hit 5 sixes and an over and a 4. And it's like, the world record's obviously 6 sixes.
Yeah.
You know, Garfield, so is it Sobers, the legendary West Indian cricketer?
Sure.
But anyway, I was like, this is a magnificent game. And it's like really great that we've got the brand on the front of the shirt as well. Telling all my friends and family, see that there? Yeah, South Africa, we did that.
And
Whatever.
Yeah, it's always a proud moment. And you know what? We've said it before, it doesn't matter how big or small a deal is. A deal's a deal. You know, when you bring a brand and a rights holder together, it's always such a special moment because that's your passion, that's your love. But when you actually do a deal, you know, for a club that you would never have engaged with, really and truly, that you're seeing on Sky Sports in South Africa, which is the best part of 13, 14 hours away or whatever it is, and you know you've played a part in that deal, you know, it's brilliant to see, you know. And I've been involved in the WhatsApp groups between the brand and the club itself. And, you know, just around all the activations and everything going. And Duelbits and Jasper and Chris, current CEO, Jasper's the CMO from Duelbits, have got such an amazing team around them, social media, content team. But it was complemented so well with the team at Pretoria. You know, you could just see them engaging day in, day out. I could see the visibility of the content being produced firsthand. Chinmay, who is the sort of partnerships director for JSW across the board, but also Pretoria. You know, he's such a great guy and a great ambassador for the Pretoria Capitals that they just delivered, and they delivered superbly well. And I think it was a superb partnership all in all. So
great start with that one, but then of course Ice as well. Which it sounds like, I saw your post on LinkedIn, it sounded like quite the journey to even get there to Barcelona.
What a catastrophe that was. I originally wasn't going to go.
Oh, okay.
Right, so this is, 30-second overview. I was literally, I think it was a Friday, Ian was like, I'm going to Ice, you know, next week, And anyway, I got home, and on the Friday night I said to Ian, I've got to go to Ice. There's 2 really, really big meetings. I won't name who one of them was, but it was like a global mega star agent that we've been talking about for a long, long time, and could actually finally get a chance to meet this guy. And the other one was ironically with Duelbits about another opportunity. So I said to Ian, I'm coming to Ice, I'm coming. So anyway, I said to my wife, I said, right, I need to get to Barcelona for 2:00 on Monday, 2:00 in the afternoon, because I have a lunch engagement. Why do you always leave things to last minute? It's all going to be overpriced. Flights from Birmingham to Barcelona were like 500 quid. Mm-hmm. And it was just like ridiculous. The costs were just ridiculous. So anyway, she's like, leave it with me. Anyway, like an hour later, she's like, I've got it all booked. It's all sorted. So anyway, me being me, I thought, I'll have a quick browse on the computer, find out what she's booked. She'd only gone and booked me a flight from Stansted to all airports, Barcelona, which actually is Girona. Oh, okay. So I had to go from where I live into central Birmingham to Stansted on the train, from Stansted to Girona, stop overnight in Girona, and catch the train from Girona to Barcelona. 24 hours to save 400 quid.
Was it worth it? Was it
Wasn't worth it.
No, I can't imagine
It was worth it for the fact that my wife had not won. But anyway.
Needless to say that he still hasn't lived it down.
I can imagine that'll be
And do you know
Yeah.
what? I was 15 minutes late for the lunch engagement. And I was absolutely delivered to perfection, to be fair.
Oh, there we go. And was it worth it in the end?
To be fair, it was worth it.
Yeah.
We have an opportunity from the back of the visit. Ian and Diego, our country manager, had literally been a lot more planned for the event than I was. They'd got meetings set up. They were literally running around here, there, and everywhere. And I was like, I felt a little bit like a loose part. But someone in our WhatsApp group had messaged us. There is a brand that I've spoken to that have a stand at ICE. Does anybody want to go and speak to them? So I was like, well, I better make myself useful. I've done these 2 meetings and served my purpose. And I thought, right, I'm having this one. So literally thought, right, I'm going to convert this. So I did and went on the stand, met the guy. No, I can't see you. I'm too busy. Who are you again? What are you about? It was like going back to my old schoolboy sales days. Anyway, so I said, look, I'll come back and see you. And he said, yeah, please do. So the irony of this was the stands at these big exhibitions are literally laid out for people to have meetings, but usually they're meetings for the company who has the stand and guests, not some random sports agency that just hoofed up and sits down at their tables and like having coffees and teas and stuff. Who is this guy? Yeah. So anyway, he turned around to me and said, you can come over to the table. And we were sat with these guys. And the irony was we were meeting with MotoGP, head office MotoGP, based in Spain. And I think it wowed him a bit. I said, I'm so sorry, Mr. X, just meeting with MotoGP. I won't be long. I'll come and see you after. And he was like, he looked at me as if to say, are you serious? And I think that like broke the ice. And then anyway, we didn't catch up, managed to exchange on LinkedIn. And yeah, we've managed to get something going, got a few things in the pipeline for them. And hopefully by the end of this week, we'll have a bit more clear understanding of what they're going to spend and how much. So,
just for a bit of background then on ICE, I mean, it's going to be interesting because it was all about casinos back in the day, wasn't it? But what kind of people are there? Who are you meeting?
Oh God, anyone from the iGaming world is at ICE, and that goes for the actual betting companies themselves, sportsbook, casinos, you name it, they're out there. But a lot of it is tech platforms as well. So the actual functionality behind the actual front end stuff, so they're there as well. The amount of money, Ed, honestly. I think someone told me that one of the stands, a stand called Evolution, bearing in mind it's just a 3-day conference, was £5 million. Okay. £5 million for so you can imagine the level of size, detail, just complexity, everything that they've done around this. The level of staffing that they've put on the actual. It was huge. It was huge, honestly, massive. After 3 days, you still couldn't work your way around there. But anyway, the purpose for me was to really go and cement relationships. So I've built a lot of relationships within the gaming world, like most clubs, a lot of agencies have. But, I'm a very big believer that you should always go and shake people's hands, look them in whites of the eyes. You can just build better relationships and get a bit of a better understanding. So that was a big one for me. And as Adrian's alluded to, we had a big meeting out there. I actually had 2 big meetings out there. Both are still very, very advanced now, which is great. And the other opportunity is get to meet with clubs. Because the clubs are doing exactly the same thing that I'm doing. They want to go out there and they want to build relationships with betting companies. They want to go and meet the other clubs and share best practice. They want to go and meet the agencies, so all the other agencies are there. So it's kind of like a get together really as well, And it's a lot of people that you want to meet that you don't necessarily always have the time to meet, all in one place. They're all there. So it's literally, so when I was there, met with Villa, met with Forest, met with Spurs, met with Bournemouth, met 2 other agencies. Also to meet with Crystal Palace, Sevilla, Sail GP, MotoGP. Wow. So there's all these rights holders that I get to meet face to face. Some of these brands like Sail GP are based overseas. Yeah. So I'd have to, so it's important, and not just ICE. It's important that we're out there at a lot of these events, especially the ones that are so relevant and sectors are so big in the sporting world. So, yeah, really important. And do you know what? It's going to be a worthwhile trip. And the irony is, actually, the brand that Adrian was talking about, You know, it's the guy that we're talking to is a US guy. He was actually born in the UK, and he's got links to Birmingham. It just so happens that his family home is literally about 2 miles away from where I live in Harborne.
Okay. Well, what are the chances? But you had to go to Barcelona to meet him. But there we are.
Absolutely. So it's but it was a really good event, and there's a lot that's going to come off the back of it for sure.
Well, we talked in previous episodes about the change in front of shirt sponsorship for Premier League football clubs with betting. So those kind of events, is it about finding betting partners, new platforms for them to be on? Is that part of it, or how does that work?
I don't think it's so much about finding new platforms. I think it's trying to understand what they're going to do next.
Yeah.
So, you know, obviously a Premier League shirt front has been a really good way for a betting brand to kind of establish a real big market grab from an eyeball perspective. You know, betting, I think, going on an online platform, putting your deposit down and betting money in an environment, the first thing you're going to think is, am I going to get that money back if I win? You know, so by having your brand associated with Premier League, automatically, and especially some of the countries, they're not even activated and operating in the UK. So it's not the UK they're bothered about. They're bothered about the Far East, you know, who in China, the Philippines, Indonesia. If they see themselves on the front of a Premier League shirt, all of a sudden those audiences say, well, I recognise that brand. It's in my country. And if they've got the money to go on a Premier League front of shirt, they must be okay.
Yeah, okay.
That's where it started.
Credibility, isn't it?
Yeah, okay.
But I think now the shift has moved. You know, they can still do other divisions, but obviously the awareness isn't as widespread as it was. But I think, look, all these companies reinvent themselves. You know, it's very much a digital play now. So it's like, how can they grab digital assets? How can they take things that might get them better traction digitally than just having the front of shirt? So I think, you know, it's always a good thing when you do get reboots like this, because it brings something else out that you might not have been thinking about.
Yeah, and I think the shift, you know, what I've noticed is the shift from front of shirt is probably going to be more training wear.
Right.
You know, I think the training wear is a really, really good asset, purely and simply because of that digital content that you get from training wear.
Right.
Because obviously, you know, the players are wearing it day in, day out. They've got their digital content team that football clubs have, you know, literally at the training ground, filming the players, you know, with whatever they're doing, even kind of like the behind the scenes type stuff. You know, when they're in the physio room, they're constantly wearing the training wear. That's what they wear day in, day out. Whereas the kit, you wear it in the 90 minutes of the match day. You know, so, you know, most of these online gaming platforms now, they're just digital. You know, they're digital, so they want that digital content. So, you know, and then there's obviously, as Adrian's alluded to, they're all very niche, very different. They all want different territories. They all want, like, you know, to engage different audiences and different demographics depending on what they're looking for. So it's kind of like really just like anything, getting right under the bonnet of what they're looking for, you know, and then going out there and identifying, okay, well, what's going to really tick the boxes and their objectives. And that's what we do.
Let's talk endorsement deals, which I think sort of ties in with ICE, doesn't it, a little bit, in terms of what you're doing in the US or looking to do in the US. What can you tell us? I know sometimes you can't talk about these deals too much specifically, but what can you say?
Well, talking of and going back to ICE, the brand that we've engaged with, were really specific. They were like, look, we have just entered the US market. We see a figure in an endorsement capacity as something that we have to do to legitimize our brand in that US market. So they have to have this, they have to have that, they have to not specifically have ridiculous amounts of social media followers, but they have to be well known within the sporting sphere of US sport. So naturally that kind of gets our heads spinning, and we're like sitting down as a group and we get to stage, right, okay, we've got, you know, 30 plus targets here that range from like uber megastars through to people I hadn't heard of but are very well known in that US space. And then we just pull that list together and we start to like establish what are their followings, what are the links to the sport, you know, have they done anything like this before? Are they in the media? Are they still playing? You know, if they're still playing, that discounts them straight away because you can't be associated with gaming and betting if you're a current player. So then that shakes us into that environment of saying, okay, well, let's send them these lists of people and then they can come back and just shortlist and then give us a target of 5. We'll go and find further details. What's the cost? what they're going to get for it, how long do they want to do it for, and then we present them back with the 5 with our network. We may have to work alongside other agencies because, let's be honest with you, they're going to be having the rights of some of these superstars.
Sure, yeah.
And that's just the way it plays out. So endorsement deals for us are probably a third of our business now. I would say a third of our revenue.
Yeah.
So
And
that's changed dramatically.
Oh, okay.
100%. And I think it's only going to grow more and more. You know, the thing is with these, you know, a lot of these ex-players, you know, from a football perspective or another sport perspective, or ex-athletes, you know, a lot of them grow on to become big influencers and content creators, you know, and they're growing social media numbers, you know, exponential social media numbers. I mean, we've already talked about Eddie Hall previously.
Yeah.
You know, Eddie Hall, former world strongman, creates some wacky stuff online, but it grabs the attention and the imagination of people.
Yeah.
You know, and he's managed to forge himself best part of 20 million social media followers across various different platforms, and brands buy into that. You know, people are easily influenced by individuals. They genuinely are. You know, and they you know, some of these, you know, players, even the players now that are playing for football clubs or other sporting teams, have got more followers than the actual team themselves.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, well, hang on a minute, I can really leverage that, and especially like international players. You know, if you look at someone like a Mo Salah, you know, Mo Salah's a global icon. Yeah. You know, but he's got a huge footprint in India. Sorry, not India, in Egypt. You know, because that's obviously where he's from. So it might be the fact that they want to focus and, you know, regionalise different players in different regions and that kind of stuff. So yeah, no, it's getting bigger and bigger.
And what we're also seeing, which is really interesting, is even though the clubs don't have specific access to the players' personal accounts, they're putting them in their presentations to brands to say, look, we have the following 5 players that have amassed a social media following collectively of hundreds of millions, which is a little bit naughty because effectively you can't use them unless there is an agreement in place between the club and the player for that content to be used for the sponsor. I think what it more leads it to is if you are on a kit asset and you are, as Ian's mentioned, like a Mo Salah, and your brand is on the training wear, but Mo Salah will post him walk himself into the training ground, that's relevant because it's not a contractual agreement for the player to do that, but it's like, you know, really tough training session, but here I am, you know, in a photo in front of a mirror.
He'll just
do it. So, you know, that just comes with part of the agreement. But clubs are really, really getting to understand the power of the brands that they have at their disposal. Their assets. They are their assets. You know,
yeah,
it's as simple as that.
It's you know, like, I mean, we've done a lot of work in Japan and we've talked about this previously, I won't go on, but most of the clubs that we've dealt with that have got players in Japan have only commercialised because they've got players from Japan.
Yeah, of
End
course.
of. Do you know what I mean? And that's, you know, and Japan is a huge football region, you know, and they want to see their stars. They're very passionate about their homegrown talents. You know, the fact that their homegrown talents, you know, one of their own is playing in some of the top leagues in the world, they'll follow them. There's a post that you put in the we've got like a WhatsApp account between everyone globally, and Adrian put in a post at my old club at Birmingham City, basically of like probably 10, 15 fans all holding up a Spanish flag.
Oh, yeah.
And that's because we just signed a big star from Spain, a Spanish, you know, I don't think he's an international, but he's a big, you know, came from Alaves, I think it was. And those fans wouldn't have gone unless that player would have gone.
Right,
so
yeah. Okay.
it's like, you know, that's just a small part of it. You know, when you're talking these big global superstars, that's what happens.
So that's going to be certainly a big part of the business moving forward, as you say.
I think 26 will give you big for endorsements.
Yeah,
I think we'll be announcing a few more.
And then retained partners as well. That's going to be a big part, isn't it?
Yeah, the retained space for us is exceptionally busy. And I think I put this podcast down to that. I really do. I think a lot of people now are getting to hear about what we've got to offer the market. I think they're getting to see how genuine we are, how well we can deliver, that we know what we're talking about. You know, we don't just fallen out of the sky and landed here. We've got a lot of experience of highs and lows of the game. And generally, we want to be taking all highs to the clubs we work with. And the retain model is really interesting because as you step further down the football pyramid, and in cricket and in rugby and even golf, as we identify we're going into a golf opportunity, they just don't have the personnel at their disposal. And hiring it in, how many do you hire? 1, 2, 3, 5, 10?
Okay.
It's a difficult one to answer unless you know exactly what you're looking to achieve. So we go to a golf tournament and they say, we want to generate £2 million worth of sponsorship. How do we do it? We put a plan together and we say, this is how we'd have done it in a club. This is how we would do it for you. And it's like, look, just trust us that if we go to market with this, we have a better chance than you doing it yourself, because we know what our clients want. We know what potentially new clients want. And it just de-risks it all for everybody. And the same with the clubs. Clubs that are staring down the barrel of a very small commercial team that aren't putting any new partnerships in play or whatever, or focusing on delivering match days and stuff. We are literally, you switch us on and switch us off. You can have us for 3 months. You can have us for 12 months. Doesn't matter. We literally, because the size of our database, our experience, the way we approach the market, it's literally very risk-free for the clubs. And I'd hope we could probably get someone on the podcast maybe to talk about it, is they tell you that we add value. And if that's all I want to hear, if we add value, we've done our job.
So really it's lowering risk, but also adding value. I mean, they're huge things really, aren't they?
Yeah, 100%. And I think it's me, Adrian, Harry, who's obviously normally on. We're hungry. We're hungry for sales. We've been built up on just literally doing deals. That's it. And it's a little bit of a dying art, if I'm perfectly honest. You don't have the same mentality as what me, Adrian, and a lot of other people that have come from our background have got. But you've got that here, and I'm still a big believer that you have to pick up the phone. You have to see people with the whites of the eyes. You have to follow a real process to get deals done, and sniff them out fundamentally. And that's what we do, and it's and we do very successfully.
Final part there, niche opportunities. I mean, I know you like a niche deal, don't you? We've talked about a few of those in the past as well. So recent times then, I mean, we should talk about the WPSL, which is something we discussed sort of offline before the podcast even started. So tell us a little bit about what this even is to start with.
So its long form name is the World Player Super League. So literally, this is a group of very well known and well established golf organisations collaborating into one big entity.
Okay,
and that is tour companies, golf competitions, tournament providers, literally people you would establish with a amateur-based golf arrangement. This will be the largest amateur golf movement in world golf. It will have 4 million participants across all tournaments, across 82 countries, with 3,800 events coming under one umbrella. And then you may say, well, where and how do we fit in? Well, we just look at the opportunity that comes with that. 4 million participants. So that's 4 million lots of people that can be engaged with.
Yeah.
There are 3,800 events across 82 countries, which effectively means that we can get access to 82 countries' high net worth individuals, CEOs, senior managers that are playing in these tournaments that literally amplify SGI's mission of finding influential people that have aspirations to be in sports sponsorship or already in it and want to do more. So for us, it's an exceptional opportunity with a blank sheet of paper, which is very rare in sport because most of the organisations we work with are already well established. They've got what they want. They know what they want to achieve. They've got a blueprint.
Team in place, haven't they?
Got a team in place, and we just have to just be sided in to say, okay, guys, we've got this problem here. Can you help us out? Where this is like, what do you think? How do you think we should do it?
Okay.
And Ian and I love that. It's because we can actually use our entrepreneurial brains to think, well, actually, how can we get this partner, that partner? And it just becomes, it becomes a really interesting arrangement for us to go into a sport that I have affiliation to. I've played it. My son plays it. My brother plays it. I know it really well. But the fact that we've got a partner program we can build from zero up to something is probably might be a chance in a lifetime.
Yeah, you're kind of building it with them, I suppose, aren't you?
Exactly.
Really, which is huge.
And they're literally taking every word we say as verbatim.
Yeah, I mean, for me, sorry.
No.
I was just going to say, for me, it's an unbelievably exciting opportunity.
Yeah.
Like, unbelievably. I mean, you think 4 million participants around the world. And bear in mind, the 4 million participants, they're all going to be on their mobile phone. They're all going to have social media platforms. They're all going to be posting them on the tee or in the clubhouse or, you know, with the hole-in-one lifting the flag up at the end of it, which is going to be spread to there. So you imagine the amount of traction and content that there's going to be put out there from 4 million participants.
That's huge.
Then you've obviously got the stuff around sort of like the individual finals, the pairs, tournaments, the final days themselves, which are broadcast. You know, so there's content coming from that. So it's huge. The opportunity is endless. And like Adrian said, it's brilliant when we've got a rights holder that trust us, that believe in us, that understand that we get it, you know, and we just got a blank canvas to go at, you know, and it's no disrespect to any other agency or, you know, but we like it when we've got something exclusive, which this we have, you know, because it means that we've just got the monopoly and we can go out and speak to whoever we want without thinking, okay, oh God, has X agency spoke to them? Are we going to be doing ourselves and the brand injustice if we do that? So it's a very good opportunity, and yeah, we're really excited about it. And that goes back to our niche opportunities and what we like.
So future podcasts, can we get some names potentially of sponsors who might be on this?
Could be, yeah. But do you know what? We might even fly you out to Mauritius at one of the golf events and see if we could do a podcast there.
I mean, that sounds terrible. I don't know if I fancy that, to be honest.
Oh, no, more like Margate.
Oh, thanks. Okay.
I'm only joking.
I mean, one thing just on that as well. One thing we haven't mentioned, you know, and genuinely, I mean, we've gave, you know, the numbers, we gave the figures, we told them the exposure, the territories, 82 territories across the globe. So there's regionalised opportunities, there's global opportunities, but there's also a big celebrity piece here as well. You know, so you've got former professional Premier League footballers and European footballers as well, ex-Ryder Cup captains that are involved in it, celebrities. There's that whole sort of stardust that's glittered across it as well.
So you are pulling people in terms of viewers from all over, every sort of different type, aren't you?
It's a proven model, but just hasn't been commercialised, and it is going to be now. So, you know.
It's going to be an interesting one, that. Really interesting. Okay, well, we'll look forward to finding out more about that on a future episode. I thought we should probably, though, finish by going back to stick or twist, and in terms of trying to find the greatest Premier League football team of all time. Now, I know we did goalkeepers. I think we stuck on David Seaman in the end, didn't we?
David Seaman won.
Yeah.
And was it Virgil van Dijk for centre?
I think it was, yeah. I think it was.
Yeah, Van Dijk.
So we need to do midfielders, really, don't we, I think? Ian, I'm going to start with you. Tough one to begin with. Roy Keane or Patrick Vieira?
Oh,
Who wins that one?
Jesus.
I know. Let's go with the big guns straight away.
I'm going to go Patrick Vieira.
Keane's out early doors. Okay. Right, I'll stay with you then, Ian. Patrick Vieira or Kevin De Bruyne?
Oh, God, that's another tough one as well.
Isn't it?
I love Patrick Vieira. He was part of that Invincibles team that I just thought was just one of the greatest Premier League setups ever. And he literally bossed and dominated that midfield, controlled the play. But then you've got Kevin De Bruyne and Roy Keane for that matter. But I'm going to stick with Patrick Vieira.
Patrick Vieira. Okay, last one then. Patrick Vieira or Ryan Giggs?
God. Some of these people watching this are going to be absolutely cursing me. I'm going to stick with my guns. I'm going to go Patrick Vieira.
Patrick Vieira, okay. Yeah. Patrick Vieira, Adrian, or Frank Lampard?
Oh, Vieira.
Oh, easy. That's an easy one. It's an easy choice. Okay. This might not be quite so simple. Vieira or Steven Gerrard?
Different types of players.
Yeah, they are. I know. It's not fair, really, is it? Very different midfielders.
I'd say Vieira still.
Vieira. Okay, this is for the top spot then. Vieira or Paul Scholes?
Oh, Vieira.
Vieira. Right. Are there names we've left out here? I mean, we have Beckham, didn't make the cut. Fabregas, Yaya Toure, I've got on the list there as well.
I mean, Toure, unbelievable player. Yeah. To be honest, that was difficult because Roy Keane, outstanding. Giggs, Giggs is one of the best wingers in a long time. Yeah. You know, it's like it's.
You'd class him as a winger.
I was kind of like, you know, when you say Patrick Vieira, I mean, like I say, he just stuck out because of the Invincible team. I always like that sort of holding midfield position. Yeah. I think it's kind of like that position that really we probably lack in modern day football, if I'm perfectly honest. Yeah. And you know, so that's probably why I stuck my guns there.
Fair enough. Okay, well, we've settled on Vieira. It's a nice place to leave it.
There we go.
Gentlemen, as always, thank you very
ever so
much.
much, Ed.
And if you
Cheers.
want to find out more about Sporting Group International or Sporting Jobs, look them up on LinkedIn and you can catch some of the exclusive deals that are
Yep.
dropping all the time.
Heard it here first.
Cheers, Ed.
Cheers.
Cheers, Coops.